good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mohammad Thoriq Bahri. Thank you for this great opportunity to present my early research on this very prestigious event. As I said to you previously, my research topic will be the assessing the post-pandemic potential legal issues for international migrants towards the big data analysis. This is very interesting because that after the COVID-19 pandemic, there is a lot of the legal problem and legal issues, and then I will focus into the international migrant issues in this early research. So this is a little bit about me. My full name is Mohammad Thoriq Bahri. Now I am an immigration analyst at the Ministry of Law and Human Rights of Indonesia, and currently I'm a PhD student at the Faculty of Law and Political Sciences, University of Szeged in Hungary. And then this is my table of contents. So first, I will to explain you about the migration fact, which happen right now. And the second one, I will use the big data to identify what the legal issues which happening after the pandemic and what is the result. So I will use the result of the data analysis to understand the interaction pattern and the sentiment about the legal issues which happen in the pandemic era. And then the fourth one is the discussion. So I will analyze the legal issues in the legal framework by using the data which I took before. And the last one is the main point for the further analysis. So first is the introductions. So who is the international migrants? And as we know, the international migrants can be described as the someone who relocate outside of their country of birth or legal status, regardless of their motivation to move. So for example, the people like me who live in Indonesia for the study purposes can be determined as international migrants. So what happened to the international migrants during the COVID-19 pandemic? Okay, in the COVID-19 pandemic, counted on 25 of October 2022, more than 250 million COVID-19 cases were recorded worldwide. And what is the effect of the high infection rate worldwide? As we know, after the COVID-19 pandemic is announced by the WHO, many countries trying to close their border and is resulted into more than 39,000 regulations for the border protection globally. So the example for the border protection, which means like if you live from Indonesia to Malaysia, for example, and then when you enter Malaysia, they will require a PCR test with a negative result. It's one form of the border control regulation, which happened during the pandemic. And what is the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic? As we know, the COVID-19 pandemic, because of that regulation which I previously told you about the border protection, this restriction is decreased the number of international traffic by 74%. It's very high number actually. So nobody crossed between the border of each country during the pandemic. So in the other, also I can explain to you if the GDP from the tourist sector is dropped into 49.9% globally in 2022. And also the remittance rate also this is by 14%, followed by the slowing down in international migration rate by 27%. Then in terms of immigration policy, what is the potential post-pandemic legal problem identified? To identify this problem, I will use the very like the new methodology in the socio-legal analysis, which is using the SNA analysis to understand and to identify what the most uh, popular issues in the social media during the COVID-19 pandemic. So this is the data and analysis part. So what is the SNA? The social network analysis is one of the methodology which trying to analyze the relationship or connection between the social big data. So we can understand which the actor, which the people who spread their opinions, which the people who follow the other opinions, and so on. And the second one, the SNA analysis, is one of the analytical method which can identify the structure of an issues which happen in the society. And in this research, the SNA analysis is conducted by using the Node XL software and the GAPI mapping software to understand what the issue behind the pandemic. So this is the data which I use in this research. And as you can see here, this data is contain more than 18,000 of data query which I took from the Twitter, and it's obtained from March to October 20. And why Twitter? As we know, the Twitter is the big data producing platform which update in a real time. Why is very interesting? Because you know, is recorded by several organizations. More than 1.8 million COVID-19 related immigration cases is filed by 10th of October 2022. So a lot of the cases, the example of the cases, for example, you leave Indonesia to Malaysia, and the immigration authorities of Malaysia is reject your passport, and it will count as one cases. So worldwide there is 1.8 million cases happen. And what is the result? I will tell you from now. So as we can see here, the most popular words which we can found in the post-pandemic big data is the matrix, is the French word, visa, the tiny, and the tension. And the second, how many those words is retweeted? For the matrix is more than 6,000. For visa is more than 5,000. For the tiny is more than 3,000. And the tension is more than 2,000. And with the top mentioned user, most of them are consist of the news agency, politician, and activists. So those mentioned user by the lot of the Twitter users, which mean those users, the top mentioned user is the key person. So the public is trying to attract their attention because of the post-pandemic issue in the international migrants. So after we understand the data analysis, this is the sentiment analysis, which I already conducted by the Node XL. As we can know, more than 10,000 people are not satisfied with the regulation which trying to restrict the international travel. Most of them are the international migrants, of course, and only 4,000 of them are have the very good sentiment about the policy in the post-pandemic era related to the international migration. And this is the discussion, which is very interesting because we can see the different treatment of the international migrants in every country. So as I told you previously, as I told you previously, the first finding discussion, the matrix, visa, the tiny, and detention becoming the most popular issues discussing in Twitter on the post-pandemic era. And those kind of words are popular in several countries like the Australia, Bangladesh, Myanmar, France, and European territory. And the second finding, most of the people in the conversation network about the post-pandemic international migrants policy is not satisfied with the post-pandemic policy, which can prove by more than 10,000 have the people have the negative sentiment. 4,000 of them have the only 4,000 of them who has the positive sentiment. Can we conclude if there is a problem in the legal solution in the post-pandemic era? Okay, I will explain to you a little bit. So, for example, for the Australia case analysis, so from the March to 2021 to the March 2022, there was a roughly 12% increase in the number of persons being held in the immigration detention in Australia. Because allegedly, according to the Section 501 of the Migration Act of 1958, the detention of those who have visa is been rejected or cancelled can be done by the immigration authorities. So, for example, if you are international migrants, whether you are a asylum seeker or refugees, or even only the tourists, and you don't have the proper visa or proper documentation in the Australian territory, they will send you to the detention center quickly. And the second cases in the Bangladesh and Myanmar cases, now around the 900,000 people are still live in the Cox's Bazar in 34 detainee camp counted in October 2022. This detention is happened in the pandemic era because most of the Rohingya is stateless. Because by the citizenship law of 1982, the people who live in Bangladesh and Myanmar must demonstrate their ancestors live in the country before 1823 in order to qualify for the citizenship. And most of them cannot prove that kind of like the ancestor. That's why they are stateless, and most of them are sent to the detention center without the basic access to the human rights. So it's very, phenomenal. On the other hand, in France, as the most mentioned countries, more than 300,000 applications for the asylum seeker are submitted. And those who are applied for the asylum seeker are given the temporary renewable and 6 month resident permit. And for non-asylum seeker, for example, for tourists, the automatic visa renewal is applied. In the same way, the European Union. So this law is giving the asylum seeker access to the talent pool and speed up the refugee determination process. So the talent pool access, for example, in Germany, if you are an engineer or doctor or you have qualified for something, they will give you access to work there and will give you the temporary visa during the pandemic. This is very interesting. So this is the proposed solution which I can share to you. This happened because most of the legal regulations are still implemented in the national level. So it results in disparities in the treatment of international migrants between countries in the post-pandemic era. As we can see previously, what happened in the France and what happened in the Bangladesh and Myanmar, for example, there is like the vice versa. They have the different treatment for the international migrants. However, in the emergency, policies without public administration is permitted. And the supranational organizations such as UNHCR, they can make the supranational level policy and standard to make sure if there will be a consistent treatment of international migrants in the post-pandemic era. And the conclusion, okay, the first conclusion which I can tell you right now is that detention is quickly becoming one of the most continuous issues in the post-pandemic era. And the second one, the difference is happening in the treatment for the international migrants. Some countries, which I already told you, have the very good regulation and treatment, while the others do not. And the third one is asylum seeker still becoming a major issue in the post-pandemic era. And the fourth one is in some countries, the regulation is still focused on the law enforcement rather than the facilitation. And the fifth one is the national law is still becoming the primary sources of the migrant treatment. And the last one is the supranational legal framework is required to ensure that the international migrants are treated equally throughout the world. So they will equally treated. Okay. And thank you for your attention. And please, if you have any question or any inquiries, please send me an email via the you can via the Mohammad.Thoriq@kemenkumham.go.id. Thank you for attention and good afternoon.